Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into the paradox of modern love. Using some amazing insights from psychotherapists Esther Perel and Lori Gottlieb, we're going to unpack the biggest contradictions of desire and commitment, especially in this world of what feels like infinite choice.
So, think about it. We have more choice than ever before. I mean, it used to be you might choose between what? 2 people in your village? Now you can swipe through 1,000 people on an app before breakfast. But as Esther Perel points out, all this freedom, it hasn't actually made us feel more free. It's created this brand new kind of anxiety.
And that anxiety really boils down to this one single crippling question that Perel says just paralyzes modern daters. How do I know? It's this endless search for 100% certainty in a world that gives us infinite options. Am I making the perfect choice? Could there be someone better out there? Is this the one?
And this hunt for certainty, for the perfect one, it puts this impossible expectation on our partners. We're asking one single person to be our everything, our best friend, our trusted confidant, our passionate lover, our intellectual equal. I mean, the list goes on. This sets the relationship up to just crumble under the weight of all these demands. So to figure out a healthier way forward, we need to dismantle the myths we've been told, and we're going to start with the biggest one of all. You know this story, right? We're told from day one to look for our other half, our soulmate, that one person who will magically complete us and fulfill our every need. It's a beautiful, super romantic idea, but honestly, it's also a trap. Now here's the thing you have to get. This idea, it's basically brand new, historically speaking. For centuries, nobody expected this from a spouse. Perel argues that turning our partner into the source of all our meaning and transcendence and ecstasy, it's a crushing and totally modern burden to place on another human being.
I mean, think about that. We've basically taken all the things we once looked for from the divine, a sense of wholeness, meaning, ecstasy, transcendence, and we've plopped it all onto our romantic partners. We've turned love into a new religion, and our partner into its all-powerful God. Is it any wonder we're so often disappointed?
So, okay, what's the alternative? Well, Perel suggests we just need to change the metaphor. The goal shouldn't be to find some finished products, a perfect person who ticks every single box from day one. Instead, the goal is to find a co-author, someone you want to write a story with, and that story is going to have edits and revisions and a whole bunch of unexpected plot twists along the way.
All right, let's get into this next one, because it is a biggie. We are absolutely obsessed with the spark. You know what I'm talking about? That instant, electric feeling on a first date that we think is the ultimate sign that we found our match. But what if that feeling isn't what we think it is? Psychotherapist Lori Gottlieb has a really powerful warning about this so-called spark. She suggests we need to dig a little deeper and really question what's creating that jolt of electricity. Gottlieb's whole idea is that the spark is often less about some magical cosmic connection and way more about a psychological one. That intense feeling, a lot of the time, it's just your unconscious radar picking up on someone who feels familiar, someone who reminds you of the emotional dynamics you grew up with, for better or often for worse. And this is where it gets really fascinating. Gottlieb explains that we're often unconsciously drawn to people who let us replay the unresolved dramas of our childhoods. We're trying to finally win a game we lost as a kid. This also explains why we might feel no chemistry at all with someone who is actually really good for us. They just don't fit that familiar and sometimes painful pattern we're used to. So, okay, let's say we bust these myths. We find a great co-author. We build a loving, committed relationship. Why is it that desire so often seems to fade, even when the love is still really strong? Well, this brings us to the central paradox that Esther Perel has explored for her entire career. Look at this. This lays out the fundamental conflict perfectly. The core things that love needs to thrive, and the core things that desire needs to thrive, they're often direct opposites. Love craves security, closeness, predictability. Desire, on the other hand, is fueled by novelty, by distance, and by a little bit of uncertainty and risk. You can think about it this way. Love thrives on having, while desire thrives on wanting. The very security, the comfort, that wonderful predictability that nurtures a loving bond, it can actually be an antidote to the eroticism that fuels desire. They're not enemies, not at all, but they are pulling in very different directions. So the big question is, how do we navigate all these paradoxes without driving ourselves completely crazy? The solution isn't some simple list of 5 tips for better romance. Perel argues it's about developing a whole new way of thinking about relationships, a total mindset shift. The key here is to
develop what Perel calls relational intelligence. And what that really means is just being able to hold these complex, contradictory truths at the same time. It's accepting that, hey, you can love someone and also be really annoyed by them sometimes. It's remembering that love isn't a passive state you just fall into, it's an active verb, something you do. And it's about seeing your partner not as someone you figured out and possess, but as this fascinating, forever elusive, ever-changing person.
And when conflict and hurt inevitably happen, because they will, the mindset has to shift again. Of course, repairing the damage is essential, but Perel says that can't be where it ends. Just getting back to the status quo, back to how things were, that isn't enough. The real goal is revival.
And this framework offers a path to get there, to build a deeper, more resilient connection. It starts with acknowledging the real impact and expressing real remorse. But then, and this is so important, it moves beyond just repair. It's about taking that rupture and using it as a catalyst to create something new together by embracing play and risk and curiosity, to move beyond just surviving the hurt. You see, in the end, navigating all the complexities of modern love isn't really about finding all the right answers. It's about learning to ask better questions, not just of our partners, but of ourselves, of our myths, and of our own expectations. A good question, it can change the entire story.
And maybe that's the question that reframes everything. It shifts the entire focus from finding a perfect, pre-made person to focusing on our own growth. It turns a relationship from a destination you're desperately trying to arrive at into a story that you are actively and consciously writing together every single day.